Hello and welcome back to Bookish Bites. We are here with Nakia Ford, aspiring film producer, and so much more. She produces her own show called Single Wife Living My Blessed Life. And please check her out. She's awesome. So, Nakia, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing
It's
great.
been a while. Talked.
Yes, yes. So, I met Nakia when I lived in Orlando. You were going to,
Full
oh my
sale at the
God,
time.
Full Sail, right? And yes, so we met with that, and I was actually like an extra or something for some kind of film project. Yeah, and we were talking
Baby
about
was
books.
little. Now she's a
She
big
was
girl.
big. Yes, she's 12 now.
Oh my God. She was what, like
Yeah,
3? Oh
two. I think she was
God.
2 or 3. I think you're
Two or
right.
three.
Yeah, tiny
She
little
was
thing. Yeah.
she was. Oh, she was so funny. One minute she was like,
Yes,
leave me
she
alone.
was.
I'm not gonna talk to you. The next minute she was following me everywhere. I'm like, what happened to
Right.
me wanting to leave
I
you
thought we
alone?
weren't friends.
Yeah, she's like, "We friends now. It's too late."
Yeah,
She's
yeah. I like you.
right. Like, I didn't know you were
Right. Yeah, so we're going to be talking about a TikTok video that's gone viral. Um, well, I think it's gone viral. It's very interesting. It was a video that was very interesting. Shout out to my sister Star. Um, she has her own business selling handmade crafts and handmade jewelry. She makes Native American jewelry. So her business is called um, Raindance Designs. So I'll leave links and stuff to the websites to everybody. But she
Yeah, tight.
makes she makes my jewelry. She makes Anaya's jewelry. Yeah.
Love me some turquoise.
Yes, just a lot of
Mm.
turquoise. I want her to make me some copper earrings.
Oh,
So for my book
you
Forbidden.
want chunky ones that are kind of like layered that has the turquoise and
Oh
pink.
yeah.
Fine,
She could
fine,
probably do
fine.
that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But
So
fine, hey.
she's you right. So she sent me this video, and it's a content creator that we both follow her. We like her content. Sometimes she says things that are like it just kind of leaves you like, wow, like I never looked at things that way. So
Right.
we're not going to show her whole video because it's kind of long. It's about 6 minutes, but I will do my best to remember to put the link in the description so that you can go check it out, the whole video for yourself. It's really interesting what she says. But this is the first part that we're going to talk about. So here we go.
Survive. That's all there is to it. The only way that the human male survives, reproduces, and goes on to live any semblance of a life is by convincing himself and others of this system, and by giving women no other choice other than to participate in this system by hoarding resources away from women. Because it would be nice, wouldn't it, if women could just reject it and say, like, no, thank you. I don't want to do this anymore. This isn't fun, and I don't like it, and I want you to stop. The women.
So what
Ooh.
do you think?
I think that she has a point. I think that
Mm-hmm.
are still living in the residue of this antiquated system that's been set up for men by men. Women still, in certain places, make way less than their male counterparts. Women who live in certain economic brackets may feel that they have to sacrifice certain things. To be with a man to get certain
Yeah.
resources. But I think 2024, where men are finding out that women can start their own businesses and be on their own
Yeah.
resources because one thing we are is resourceful. And so
Mm-hmm.
I think that is there's a shift, and I think there are a lot
Mm-hmm.
of men who don't like the shift. I know
Yeah.
um, once upon a time when I was in the dating pool, men didn't like independent women,
Yeah.
like women that didn't need them. And I got that a lot. You too independent, you too headstrong, blah, blah, blah. And
Right.
so I think it might not be as overt, but it's definitely covert. It's in our movies. It's in the relationships that we've probably seen in our houses or from our grandparents or whatever. So it gets into your young male subconscious. And I think it might be there. So I don't know if men think of that consciously, but subconsciously, I'm pretty sure it's there. But I'm not a man, so I can't talk for a man, but I can assume. I'm making assumptions.
Assume-
Yeah, I'm making
yes.
assumptions that it's hard to not be influenced by a society that was created that way.
Yeah, the system is set up for you to, yeah, it helps. So even if that's not their attitude, they kind of fall into it because it's just easier. Just it's
Yeah.
kind of laid out for them. Yeah, I get that.
I mean,
Yeah,
even like
she.
I've been
Hmm.
places where, like, been driving with a guy or a girl, and they will see a homeless woman, and they have more compassion for her than a homeless man, because they're like, you have every resource, you have every opportunity to see, sir. Why are you homeless? Like, as
Yeah,
for a woman, they're like, okay, they're more lenient because, like, they know that maybe
yeah,
she can depend on somebody, but a man, no. So if you got to ask me for a quarter, why, sir?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So both
yeah.
in their favor and against them sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That is very true. I love what you were saying about that with the tribe in Uganda.
I think it's
Please
Uganda.
tell
I
that
watched
story again.
a
Uh
lot
huh.
of TV and documentaries. So I'm
Right.
thinking Uganda, but it might not be. So don't
Okay.
quote me on
Okay.
Uganda. It's in
You're not
Africa.
sure. It's in
Yeah, it's
Africa.
not.
Yeah.
I know it's in Africa, but it's not. I don't know if it's Uganda. Well, there was a tribe of women, or was a tribe of people, and the women were getting treated like trash. They were, domestic violence. Nobody says anything because she's a wife. If he hits his wife, so what? And so
So
one
yeah.
woman was like, I'm fed up. You're not gonna beat me. You're not gonna treat me like trash. I'm leaving. So she leaves, walking out across the desert. And so other women were like, if she could leave, I didn't know you could do that. You can leave. I'm leaving too. So all the women, one by one, the women start leaving with her. So the men were like, they'll be back. They're going to be afraid of the night sounds, and they're going to, it's too dangerous out there. They're going to realize that they need us. And they're going to come running back to me, running back to us. They did not. And so, the men sitting around like, when they coming back? They ain't coming back yet. So some of the men was like, forget this. I ain't sitting around with y'all. Y'all can do nothing for me. So some men left, right? And so,
Yeah.
but when they get to the where the women had set up their new homestead, everything was functioning. Like, everybody's working together. There were some that were better hunters, some are better cooks, some are working with the children. Like, they were working cooperatively. And so, but when the men showed up, they were like, oh no, y'all not running things, because maybe like 10 men
Hmm.
left. And so they were like,
Hmm.
you going to go over here and do this. Everybody does the whole work. And so some
Right.
of the younger men were like, sure, I don't have a problem washing dishes, and I don't have a problem holding a baby. But some of the older men that left, they still had that same mentality. So they're like
Right.
complaining, like, this is woman's work. I ain't gonna be washing dishes. And so, the head chief now is a woman. She was like, well, the direction you can go back in and be with them. They were like, I ain't leaving, but I don't like it. I'm gonna wash this dish, but I ain't gonna like it. And so, and so it's really funny how, like, men, even if they know that being with this group of women and things are working great, well, even in this situation, things are working better and cohesively, they still have that same old mentality. This is woman's work. I shouldn't have to do this because I'm a man. I shouldn't have to hold a
Yeah.
baby, even though it's mine, because that's one
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that story. And you know what? It does sound vaguely familiar, but I don't remember. It is in Africa, but I don't
Yeah,
remember what
yeah.
country in Africa. Yeah, you're right. Um,
And
I love it. I love it. It is so true what you said. Like, you know, they got the old school and the younger generation. So the younger men were like, okay, cool, I understand, I get it. I
that's
got
it.
the assignment. They were, yeah.
Yeah,
The
like,
older
I'd rather wash a dish than go hunting. Okay, fine.
yeah, right,
He's like, I don't
exactly.
want to hold no babies. I ain't changing no babies. I ain't washing no pots. I'm a man. And she was like, are you want to eat, sir?
Yeah.
And he was like, shut up, I'm gonna eat. Let me chop these onions before you get put out. Chop it up.
I love it.
Bless his
I
little
love it.
African male heart. Bless
Yes,
him.
yes. That was a good one. But so she also mentioned in the video about like kind of like how men are, I should say, would be like gatekeeping, like keeping opportunities away from women so that I get from the impression like so that the woman is constantly in a way where she has to depend on the man to survive. But
And I think, yeah,
mhm,
I think it's still a blowback from an old generation, because um, women, like, I know my mom raised me, you can't depend on having a husband. So you better
yeah.
learn how to do it for yourself. You need to learn how to do things with your car for yourself. You need to learn how to make your own money. Because a husband is not guaranteed. And so I'm
Hmm.
thinking a lot of women, especially in college. College is full of women, right? Full
Yeah.
of women trying to get educated. Like longer the days that women are going to college to find a husband. No, they're trying to find that
Mm.
bag. So,
Yeah.
and hopefully, it'll be a bonus if you find, a boo
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
turns into a husband who is upwardly mobile too. Um, but
Yeah.
but there are some people that are like, um, that has it been ingrained in them, whether through their family or wherever they're from, that you have to have a man. And so but sometimes it's like to your detriment, because I know a lady, her husband died and he was like the man of the house. He took care of all the bills, he took care of
Mm.
everything. Then he dies. She didn't know that a couple of months ago that he decided to save money and not own that health insurance and life insurance, because he ain't supposed to die in a couple of months. And now
Wow.
she got to have a fish
Mm.
fry to bury him because she didn't know anything.
Mm.
Know what company is for the light bill. She didn't know, what the insurance. She didn't know any of those things because she put all of that in his hands because he was a provider. That we found out
Mm.
wasn't providing completely. He didn't even provide for his own self to be buried. So,
Yeah.
when you put and a lot of women have grown up in families like that, and it's like, that's not going to be me. I'm not going to
Yeah.
be having me look crazy when he decides to leave me or he decides to die. I'm going to have it for myself. And a lot of women are teaching their children that, but not every woman is doing that. And so
Mm.
this new trend for this trad wife, like traditional wife. And I think somebody
Mm.
said something like, traditional for who? Because everybody
Yeah.
doesn't have that tradition that women cook and clean and have babies. There are other places in the world. And I think, when you come out of a Western or American background, other cultures, that's not the case. That women have
Right.
more of a say. But we want to promote. There's more things on TV about people in the Middle East and how they treat their women. And I know a lot of Middle Eastern women that are running their houses. So it's
Yeah.
not,
Yeah.
we're going to show that because we need to still push the narrative
With
that
narrative. Yeah.
men are uh, 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 men are superior and women are inferior. And there's not a
Mm.
lot of marketing, news wise
Mm.
or any other thing wise, where women are taking the helm. And
Yeah.
but there's not a huge amount of female filmmakers. There are more now, but most of the filmmakers are men.
Yeah.
Most of the people that do things are men, so it's easier for them to push that narrative, and it's up
Yeah.
to us to push different narratives. But
That's true. That's true. So, well, like I told you before, I'm starting my film productions course. I'm in school next week, Monday.
I'm excited for you.
Yes.
I have a bachelor's in film production and a bachelor's in digital filmmaking and a master's in film production, and I
Oh wow.
loved it. I enjoyed
Really?
it. And I went as a like you, like I didn't come straight
Mm.
out of college. I went straight
No.
out of
Yeah.
high school going to film school, because
Yeah.
I got convinced by people that really, really love me that you're gonna go to California and get strung out on drugs. I'm like, I've never been
Oh my
strung out on
gosh.
drugs before. Why would I go to California to get strung out on drugs?
Why? Do you-
And that's not for you. Like, get one of them good jobs, those secure jobs. Was not encouraged to dream and to imagine for a living. And it wasn't until after I got out of the military that I was like, I got this young Montgomery GI Bill, I got some free school, or I'm going to do what I want to
Mhm.
for the free. And so I was
Yeah.
like, I've always been a storyteller, and I always wanted to be a filmmaker. And they scared me out of California. They ain't not gonna scare me out of Florida. I'm going to go to film school. So that's what I did.
For
I'm
real.
excited for you because, like, your background is really, really interesting. I mean, you grew up on a reservation, I believe. I remember.
I started. I kind of moved there when it was unofficial. I saw my best friend, and actually, it's crazy. That, the girl who introduced me, or that I started hanging out with, she was my friend. She just passed away
Oh,
a couple days ago. Yeah.
oh,
So yeah. So she's the one. We used to go to church together, and she was kind of like, we were in this group called Kids Praises. So we would sing and dance, and we'd go to the old people's home, and we sing and dance for them and stuff like that, right? So her uncle, it's a very interesting story. Her uncle got had brought her in because he was trying to, he didn't like the path that she was going down, and he said he's trying to like kind of like bring his niece in. So she's half Seminole, and this
Mhm.
is her uncle on her father's side. Her father is white,
Okay.
and her uncle was this, his name, this guy's name was Greg. Amazing, amazing man. Him and his wife, I loved them to death. Like what I would, the positive thing I walk away with from growing up in a church is the church that I grew up in. It was multicultural, which now
Mhm.
you see in my books. That's why I get this
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
multi. Yeah,
Your
very
book style is very, very multicultural.
yeah. So I like in our church, it was, I don't want to say like, oh, I didn't see color. It's not that. You saw color, but you saw the diversity. You saw it was beautiful. So it's like looking at a
Mhm.
butterfly with all these different
Right.
colors. It's just
Right.
beautiful. So we
Okay.
had, Hawaiians, Native Americans, Asian, just everybody,
Mhm.
black, white, African, just everybody.
Mhm.
So he was a leader of that program, and then he was a leader of also the program we had called Pathfinders. So he was a veteran.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he taught us how to march. So he teaches how to march military style.
Oh Lord.
So I knew how to march.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good training. Good
But
training.
yeah, it was good training. Yeah. So, but he brought her in, and nobody wanted to talk to her. Nobody wanted to hang out with her. They said that, oh, she smelled. She slept. She laid in the corner and would just like fall asleep. So, I'm the type of person when I see somebody
He
that's like the black.
smiled.
That's
Oh,
what they
listen.
was. You know how kids are mean. You know how
Yeah,
kids are
kids are so
mean.
bad. They're so mean.
Yeah. So I don't know what it was, but I was drawn to her. I was really genuinely drawn to her. Like, and I felt bad. And for me, it was almost like I just like I don't talk about my sister. It was that kind of energy I had. So
Right.
I started like I was sitting next to her, and then I started talking to her. And even when she fell asleep, I still stayed next to her. She was sleeping. I don't know.
Oh my goodness.
So we became friends and we grew up together. So I didn't really know that she was Seminole. Um, I think she told me she was native, and I was just like, "Oh, that's cool. My dad's native too." I didn't really think anything much of it. My dad's mixed, right? So
Uh-huh.
I didn't think too much of it. Um, it wasn't until my aunt pressured me one day to go to the Seminole powwow. They were having their annual powwow, and
Mhm.
this is before they built the casino, way before they built the casino. And my aunt's like, "Come, just come with us." I didn't want to go. I didn't feel like going, but she's like, "Now, had I known now what I, if I had known now what I known, if I had known now what I known then, did I say that right? I don't know.
If you knew then
I
what you know now.
Yes, there we go. I wouldn't have missed a second arguing with her to go. But I
Right.
went because fry bread. Okay, who's gonna pass up fry bread? So
Not me.
all right. So we're standing in line and to go in, and my aunt's like looking at her money, and she's counting how many kids she got with her, and so all of a sudden, I just, my aunt goes, "Is it?" She goes, "Oh my gosh, that girl is so beautiful." Now, my friend Amanda, gorgeous, just beautiful, beautiful,
Mhm.
beautiful, beautiful. So I was like, so I look over and I see this girl in this beautiful blue. It's like as a blue. She was wearing a Seminole dress. So they have the shawl
Mhm.
and then like a beautiful blue dress with patchwork on it. It's very Seminole clothes are really beautiful. They're really really beautiful. Um, she was walking across the parking lot to go into the event, and I looked over and I was like, she looks familiar. and then and then she looks over at me and she goes, April. And I'm like, I don't know
He
her.
cleans up good, huh?
Right? Like, what is, and she rushes over to me. She goes, "Oh my God, April." She's like, "Come with me, come with me." And then my aunt, I'm like looking at my aunt like this, and I just, I never seen her dressed like that because she always
Mhm.
came looking kind of bummish, so I've never seen her dressed up. So I was still kind of like, huh? And then I'm like, "Oh, Amanda."
Mhm.
So she tells my aunt, I could get her in. I could get her in for free. She could come as my guest. My aunt's like, "Take her."
Take her. Count these pennies. Take
I got
her
all
in.
these kids. Take her. So yeah, I went. Let me tell you, I didn't see my aunt until it was time to leave. I had a blast with her. I
Oh,
ran around with her, met her grandparents, ate fried bread, and ate fried bread, watched dancers, and ate more fried bread. so,
That's
so like,
cool.
and then after that, yeah, the rest is history. Like after that is so she's the one I started hanging around with, and being there, and then you start dating people. That's how I got. So I ended up being there. So like since the age of 14,
Mhm.
and the reason why I didn't even think about it until I was marrying my ex husband, and the pastor had went around. He's a native pastor. Before he married us, he went to ask the community elders if they would allow me to marry my ex husband, and they said we've known April since she was about 14 years old. This is how I remember that I came there when I was 14, because at that time I didn't even remember. And they said that we've watched her, we watched her growing up, and they said that she's good. She doesn't she's we've never seen her drunk, never seen her on drugs. She doesn't speed through the res. you know she's not disrespectful, and all those things. So there's yeah, they said the only problem we have for her is she's not seminal. Other than that, she's good.
She's
So
good.
that's how, yeah. So, but what it taught me is you never know who's watching you. I didn't know that they were watching. I didn't even know they saw me.
People,
I didn't
listen,
even know
there's
they noticed
always
me.
on the stage, there's always somebody watching. When I was in the military, they beat it in, like when you think
Yeah,
nobody's watching you, somebody's watching you,
somebody's
especially
watching.
kids. Kids are watching and hearing everything. Old
That's
people,
true.
they're watching and hearing everything. So yeah.
That's
And it's
true.
great that that you had a good report, right? That like, oh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank God. Thank God I wasn't out there trying to live it up.
right, like she just a sloppy drunk, don't
Doing
give
donuts in the res. Yeah.
no drag racing. That's
Right.
bless your
Yeah.
heart.
So
I think that's
yeah, it
cool.
was. Yeah, it's still good. Like there's still a lot of people. Like to me, I think honestly, and when I look back in my life, that's the one place that I felt the most at home, which is crazy,
Mhm.
but I felt the most at home there. So yeah, I still have my friends that people I still call family, that I still talk to this day from there, even though I'm all the way here in Alabama.
Yeah. I have a like the most comfortable. I've been comfortable in two places: when I was living in South America and when I was living in, well, not living, but when I was in Jamaica. And I'm like, I feel like the most at ease. Like I can walk down the street and
Hmm.
not worried about somebody knocking me across the
Yeah.
head. I can just talk to people. People are super friendly. And it's interesting. Now I have a question. And you
Hmm.
were talking about like patrilineal and like man dominated. What about like living on the res? What are res men like?
So
Are they
so
very?
well, was a Seminole. They're a matriarch. It's a matriarch society. So
Interesting.
yes.
They we talk
so
about
the
it's traditional, not in the Seminole tradition. Seminole
No,
tradition looks
no,
totally different. Okay,
it's
tell me about
matriarch. Yeah, so it's matriarch. So they get their clans from their mother. So for even like
it.
me, so on my side of my family, on my mother's side of the family, if I look at just looking at the indigenous on both sides of my family, there's other stuff, of course, but looking at the indigenous, my father is Cherokee,
Okay.
but on my mother it's Carib and Arawak, and I
Really?
have
So
a
you're from the
clan
Caribbean?
coming from my mother's side, huh?
I'm from the Caribbean.
Yeah, she's from Trinidad.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Because you said
yeah.
Airwalk. What? Okay.
Yes. Yeah, she's from
Nice.
Trinidad. Yeah, so there's Carib Airwalk. I know um I think it was her grandmother was was Arawak or Carib. No,
Okay.
I think they said that she was Carib. The reason why I say that is because in my understanding, the Carib kind of like they were the aggressive, and the Arawak were very like they were just peaceful. Like they just want to fish, live life, be happy. You know what I'm saying? We're not trying to harm nobody.
Yeah.
Carib were very aggressive. Yeah,
Wow.
they're aggressive. So they kind of like took over the Arawak tribe. So
Mm.
that's why I still say there's like Arawak.
Look, I'm
But
claiming that one.
yeah, I feel more on the Arawak side.
Look,
But
I'm a peacemaker. I'm not a
yeah.
war maker. I'm a peacemaker. That's cool.
Proceeds maker. Yeah. So
So, what did you
yeah,
learn
there.
being
Mhm.
around this Seminole environment?
I learned that even though it's a matriarch society, because like that reservation, so the tribe has a few reservations. That the one in Hollywood, Florida, is the only one that's in the city. The other ones are kind of like out of town. You know, they're about 2 hours away. They're like a little bit more secluded, but that's the only one that's like really in the city. And even though like it's a reservation, you still get the influence, of course, from outside, right?
Right.
So it's still, even though it's a matriarch society, for the longest time, I think until now, which is actually one of my friends who she's the chief now, the president now of the tribe. She's the
Mhm.
president now of the tribe. Her name is Holly Tiger. She's the president now, but from as long as I've been alive, I think she's probably the second female president. I could be
Okay.
wrong, but she's the only female president that they've had since I've known. But there is another female president, I believe. So I believe she is the second female president, like within our so like my age gap. You know what I'm saying? In my time, she's there. So,
Okay.
but before that, it was men. So there's still that patriarch kind of going on, even though it's a matriarch society. I feel like though the culture outside still imposed upon
Mm.
the Seminole tribe people. So you still, yeah.
Gonna
Yeah.
mess with everything.
But one thing I do love, and what I always appreciate, is how they treat their elders,
Mm.
especially so how they treat their elders, how they treat the female elders. It's beautiful. Like they really sit, and at least when I was there, they really sit and listen to the elders. um it's a lot to learn from the elders, because the elders will tell you a lot. If you just sit and listen, they will tell you
Mm.
if they
I think,
like you. If they
yeah,
like you.
most
Yeah.
cultures outside of America to treat
Mhm.
their elders with respect because there's a lot of
Yeah.
wisdom. Like, you've been here for 90 years. You've lived a lot of
Yeah.
life. You've seen a
You got a
lot of
lot.
shit. You've made a lot of mistakes. And I think
Yes.
the arrogance of youth is like, yeah, I don't know what we're talking about. What we're doing is new. Nothing, there's no
Yeah.
new thing under the sun. It might have a
That's true.
different marketing, it might have a different label, but it's the same old stuff. Like, oh, they
Yeah.
have technology. We had technology. We had remote controls. We had color TV. It just wasn't a flat screen, but we still had technology. I mean, we had
Yeah.
your technology might be better, but it was still technology.
It's still
Kids still
technology.
want things that their friends have. It's gonna be the same in
It's on the same
35,
thing. Yeah.
15. Like, no matter what it is in history, those things are
Yeah.
the same for all people. People are hateful, people are loving. People, like, nothing really is new. We just, when
Yeah.
we're young, it's new to us, so we think it's new to the world. It is not.
No, it's true. It's not. There's nothing new. Nothing new under the sun.
Not well needed.
Yeah, so it's still like you see it, but I think like there's society kind of dominated. It used to be where they really like. I think the women had a stronger say. I think back in the days than
Mhm.
they now. It's just like it's kind of like there's just so much other stuff going on now,
Yeah.
and yeah. So, but it's yeah, definitely a matriarch society. So
I
uh,
remember when we were well, before we got started, you were telling me about how women think that a guy, I'm paraphrasing you, correct me, but like because a man is being persistent, that
mhm.
makes him a good dude or whatever. So do you want to
So, oh
like?
yeah. So what I was saying is like sometimes women fall into trap that because a guy is being persistent, that maybe there's something here. Maybe he's the one, and I'm missing out on it, or But what I've learned is really listen to that inner voice. Listen to that inner voice, because I've been in an experience where I've been pursued heavily, and something kept nagging me, and I noticed the more I went deep into myself and listened to that inner voice, the more that person became annoying. The more I started getting angry.
Right.
And I'm like, why am I so angry? Because they're trying to force me to go against my will. They're trying to force me to go against now some people may say it's your inner self, whatever. I say it's the spirit, the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, I say it's
I
Holy
say
Spirit.
I say the Holy Spirit was telling me,
No.
don't do that. Don't,
Uh-uh.
because they
No.
say like God is a small still voice, right? It's
Yeah,
not
still small voice.
really
Yeah. And
my
that
instinct was telling me,
don't do it. I
don't
always
do
said
it.
that. Like, I was like, something inside of me said, I'm gonna call it the Holy Spirit said to do
Mhm.
this. I think that the
Yeah,
Bible says about like there's no temptation that's not known to men, and God is going to make a way of escape for you. So there's nothing
right.
that happens in your life that's that's unique to you. Like we've all
Yeah,
gone through it,
we're all going
living in
through
the
it.
human body. But I'm going to make an avenue of escape. And I think about so many times, like all the avenues of escape that I took and that I didn't. Like like just little things like the traffic is too long. Like you trying to get over some dude's house and the traffic is just taking. Now there's a wreck or there's something that's keeping you from getting there. It's like, well,
Yeah,
you telling me turn back around, or
yeah.
it is, or like you can't find your keys. Be like, can I
Mm-hmm.
in this house? Because I know these keys are right here.
Yes.
And then you come back and be like, this key's been right there. No, like I passed it 15 times. I know it wasn't here
Yes.
before. So yeah, I think that that we have as women have an intuition, and I think we as people have an intuition, and we
Yeah, we
don't
should.
listen to it. We have, I mean, not just the Holy Spirit, obviously the Holy
Right.
Spirit, but there was like
Mm-hmm.
God has enabled us to have know better, right? And
Right.
we don't listen to it. We don't listen to the Holy Spirit. We don't even listen to ourselves. We're like, oh well,
No.
he's so nice, or they're so
Or
nice.
because then they'll try to throw their money. They'll try to throw all their material stuff in front of you, like hang it like that little carrot. And the other thing
Annoying.
that I learned about myself is like, no, I don't care what you're throwing in front of me. No.
Yeah, I blame for
Yeah.
me. I blame
Mhm.
women for that
Mhm.
because that behavior is possible because it's working on somebody.
Right. That's
Right?
true.
So I
Mhm.
have had somebody do like, oh, have you ever been on a cruise? I'll take you on a cruise. Dude, I've been on several cruises and I took myself. What else you got? Or
Yes.
you know what I mean? Some girls
Yeah.
like, no, I've never been on a cruise. Or yeah, I've been on a
Yeah.
cruise. You be on a cruise. And I have, and I say women because I have been guilty in the past long time ago. Long time ago. Like, you know what? I got money, but I don't feel like paying for it. Let me call somebody. Buy me some food. Not like this guy, whatever, and just being just
Yeah.
horrible, just a horrible human being. And
Mhm.
so I'm not saying point my finger at women. I'm pointing my finger at myself because I know it's possible.
Mhm.
Like, guys will throw money at you, guys will throw trips at you, guys will just throw all
Yeah.
these things because there's shiny and sparkly.
It's worked. It's
Yeah,
worked
and
in the
it's
past.
work. And
Yeah.
so it does when it stops working, guys are shook. Like dudes have
Yeah.
taken places, and for me, I've traveled a lot. So it takes a lot to impress me. And I
Yeah.
get overly impressed by the silliest things. Like you're like, oh, this big thing. And I'm like, oh, but look at that little thing over there. That's awesome. So but you should be like, I could have just really like the kid for Christmas when you give them this big old truck and they spend the whole Christmas playing with the box. That's me.
Yes.
Like I interested in the
That's my kid.
weirdest things, right? And so, like, when the big things don't impress you, now what I got to do? Like, I'm out of
Yeah.
my box of tricks. Now
Yeah.
I have to talk to her. I actually have to
Yeah.
do these things because there's so many other people that are like, oh, that
Right.
works. And sometimes
Yeah.
I get not interesting. Like, she ain't no interesting anymore. Like now I got to go into another bag of tricks. I don't feel like no tricks. I'm just gonna leave her alone. Like, okay, well,
Yeah.
thank you for playing.
Thank you. Yes.
Hope you enjoy the show. Bye bye.
Yes. Yeah, for real, for real.
Yeah.
It's yeah, it's just as interesting, and it's just things that I started learning about myself as I get older. I'm like, I would have fell for this years ago. Years ago, I would have fell for that hook, line, and
In my
sinker.
20s, girl,
Yeah.
a whole
Oh
decade of
yeah.
foolishness. A
And then
whole
be shocked and surprised when the real him comes out. You know what I mean?
sitting here crying. I always think like this dude ain't your dude, but you sitting here
Mm,
crying at not your dude. Like he ain't
yeah.
for you, he ain't good for you, and you
Yeah.
crying that he's gone. Y'all was arguing all the time, but you crying that you don't have
Yeah.
this headache no more. Like what's that about?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then he calls back a couple of days later. I'm sorry. Okay. You should have. Well, back in the day, we can block numbers. Now we can block
Yeah, I
them.
know. Now we can
Today,
block them.
yeah, now you rush into the like, oh my goodness, the 20s were
Mm,
so stupid. And
yeah,
then when you look
yeah.
back on your life, you're like, well, I didn't know nothing. I thought
No,
I
I
knew
was an
everything.
idiot.
I didn't know nothing. And
No, I
but
was
there
an
are some
idiot.
men that have been operating in their 20s well into their 30s and 40s because
Yes.
and so you
Yeah.
so they come at you now, you're like, you still doing that?
Yeah.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
I got you
Yeah.
got to level
No.
up because sometimes why they're like, okay, well, let me find a 20-year-old because it'll work with them, right?
Yeah. It because
Like
yeah,
you're
they're young
50
and
and you still got
mhm.
the 20-year-old game and it's successful on 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah.
know who
It
they
still
are yet.
works.
Male and female, at 20 years old, you don't know who you are. You don't know what you're going to
No.
put up with. But by the time you get 40 and 50, you're like, I know exactly what I can put up with, and that ain't it.
Yep. That ain't it. That is not it.
Or like even like
Wow.
thinking like, oh, I have to be with a man. Like I can start my own business. I can
Hmm.
I can do pretty much anything.
And
Um,
that's what I love now. We're so much things that we can do now that like our even our moms wasn't able to do. Not that it was impossible. It's just
they didn't even
it's
have
been
the
a
bandwidth for it, right? Like when I took my
no.
mother, when I was in the military, so when I left, and my mother was like, "I'll never see you again." I'm like, "All you need is a passport." She was like, "I can get a passport." I'm like, "Yeah." You know, it's stopping you, but in her mind, it's like I'm from Greenville, Mississippi. I'm not going to leave this
Wow.
country. I didn't even think I was going to leave
Yeah.
Mississippi. Now I'm going to leave the country and go somewhere where
Yeah.
a whole nother language. It was never in her bandwidth. But I'm the kid that you told I could do anything. Okay.
Yeah.
And then when I believed,
And that's the reason why she told you that, but she didn't believe
yeah,
it herself.
she believed it for me, but she didn't believe it for herself, which is crazy,
Yeah.
right? And
That is
I'm like,
crazy.
yeah, you instilled in me that I can do anything. Let's go do this. Let's go do that. And so, girl, I took my mother to, I took my mother. She came to Germany. She stayed for about a month, and we went to Italy, and like at least a million times. She was
Wow.
like, girl, your mama. Can you believe it? Your mama's in Italy. I'm like, girl, where are you? I'm in Italy. Are you? Like, she couldn't believe it. Like, literally at the Vatican. I'm literally eating Italian pizza in Italy. Like everything.
Really?
You could give her a rock. Like a friend of hers gave her
Mhm.
a rock from when they went to the Holy Land. They went to Israel, and they gave her a rock that they
Mhm.
found literally somewhere in Israel,
Mhm.
and they brought her some water from the Dead Sea, and she had it
Mhm.
on a mantle like it was a Pulitzer Prize. She was like, "Yeah, that's my Holy Land rock." Like it didn't take a lot
No, she
to
right.
it didn't take a lot of time for like being like actually being there because like that little rock
Right.
she was in Israel just holding
Right.
that rock, but like actually be there and hear the sound, it was crazy to her.
Yeah.
And so I think there a
Wow.
generation of women that didn't dream but raised dreamers. And so when they
That's
collide,
beautiful.
it's
Yeah.
like, what's going
Wow.
on? And that fear starts to set in because when you don't know, the fear of the unknown is terrifying
Yeah.
for some people.
It's terrifying. It
And
is. It
getting on
is.
a plane, I'm gonna die. You get off the plane, be like, okay, I didn't die. I can get on the plane all the time now. But it's just
Mhm.
dragging that plane. And I drug her kicking and screaming into so many of my adventures until she was like, okay,
Oh.
I give up. I give up. My adventures. Bless her heart.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful though. Like, yeah, so she raised a dreamer. Oh, but she
She
didn't.
raised a
Yeah. Well, at
dreamer
least
and did,
I'm glad you dragged her. I'm glad you dragged her
yeah, I
wherever you
dragged
needed to
her
get her.
because what I saw for myself, I wanted to see for her, right? I didn't want her to
Hmm.
be like the rock lady. I want her to have her own stories and not live vicariously
Yeah.
through somebody else's stories. Because she would
Yeah.
always like, oh, well, such and such did this and blah blah. Well, stop talking about other folks' stuff. But even hearing those
Hmm.
stories as a child, I'm like, I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to go
Hmm.
there. And being a little girl from a single parent home, nobody expects you to.
Yeah.
But she told me I could. I expected me to, right? Every movie
Hmm.
that I saw, I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna see a castle. Like I was in the military and we had a hail and farewell in a literal castle. And I'm like, if my
Nice.
mama could see me right now in this castle, who was here? Like that's not a normal thing. Now, if you've been to Germany, there's castles everywhere. But that's not a
Yeah.
normal thing for American to see castles
Yeah.
everywhere. Skyscrapers, maybe, but castles. And so,
Yeah.
but my life has been this crazy adventure, and I think it's mostly because I believed it would be, right?
Yeah.
And I think I think Zig Ziglar said, if you believe you can, or if you believe you can't, you're right either way, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
your mind is a very powerful thing, and I think that
Very powerful.
for women, I think we've had a society that held us back, but then we believe the hype, and
Mm-hmm.
I think the more generations have passed, we're stopping to believe the hype because we're seeing women do things, and like if she can
Yeah.
do it, I know I can do it.
Okay.
I got more
Yeah.
talent than she does. I'm smarter than she is. I can sing better than she can. Let me try.
Mm-hmm. That's true. So my first daughter, I had her when I was 17. And
Hmm.
I when she reached about to graduate high school and everything, I wanted her to go on to college. And
Hmm.
she just wanted to go to a vocational hair school, get her
Hmm.
certificates, degrees from that, and open up her own salon. She had her own dream. But like when you're talking about your mom and you, it reminded me of that because I was like, oh, I just want you to go to college and get your degrees, da 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 da. And it took a while for me to really realize that, okay, I'm trying to push my dream on her. I wish I had, because I was a high school dropout. So I wish I had finished high school. I wish I had went on to college. I wish I had the academic life that I wanted to have. I wish I didn't know. I went through a lot growing up. So
Hmm.
academically, I didn't that whole academic, like everybody went to prom. I got stood up on prom night, so I never went to prom.
I stood
I
up
didn't
on
have
one prom
prom.
too,
You right,
but
right.
I recouped during, because there's
You
always
recoup.
somebody like, okay, well he ain't going with nobody. Now I'm going with somebody. Meet up at the
Yeah.
prom. Yes, it happened to me
Yeah.
too. Bless,
Yep.
bless them.
So I didn't do the whole graduation thing for high school. Because I dropped out, have my daughter young. So I realized that I'm trying to push my dream, my academic dream on her. And that was not
Right.
fair. So I finally I backed off. I completely backed off. I'm like, she's a grown woman now. She's gonna make her own
Yeah.
choices. She needs help. She knows where I am, but she's gonna make her own choices. So I had to back off. And then I said, okay, I need to do that. I'm not dead. I'm not dead. So why can't I go back to college? So yeah, I went back.
Yeah.
2020 hit. It takes so when I decided to go back to college, that's when the world decides it's gonna fall apart. But I started back in 2020. But I got my GD and I went right into college and I don't regret it. Yeah.
Congratulations.
I don't regret it.
Listen, I am a proponent of education, but I also know that education, I'm a proponent of education of all kinds. So because I
Mhm.
have a lot of degrees, I know that education is important. But
Mhm.
like I said, education of all kinds. So I need somebody know how to rebuild an engine. That's an education.
Yeah.
I know somebody need to put some
Mhm.
curls in my hair. That's an education.
That's case,
So
yeah.
I've never poo pooed on anybody's dream. Like I want to be a motorcycle mechanic. Do that.
Yeah.
You already. I just heard that you are not going to be a physician. I just heard that you are not going to be an architect. Do
No.
something. Go to school somewhere. I think school of some sort is for everybody because work
Everybody, yeah.
and it's for
Mhm.
everybody. Making
Yeah.
money is for everybody. And usually you need to
Yeah.
be educated in some kind of way. Now, does everybody need to go to a 4 year university? Nope.
No.
Some people don't have attention span. You give them like 18 months and that's all they got. Okay,
That's
that's
all they
what
got.
they need to do. I got 18 months of attention span. Give it to me now. And but I wasn't that. I was in school. My mother bought me like learning plans and like those were my toys, like these little educational things when I was a kid. So I loved learning. And she
Yeah.
instilled that she loved learning. I loved reading because she loved reading. But
Mhm.
one thing about mom, especially mothers of girls, we butt heads a lot because we don't want to be
Mhm.
you. We want to be our own person because we
Mhm.
grew up like you. Everybody saying
You just like your mom.
you just like your mama. Let's go April's baby. Don't even have a name.
Yeah.
Let's go April little girl. We try
That's
to be
true.
our own person, and then of course, 30
That's
years
true.
later, we're our mothers, right?
Just like her mother, yeah.
But yeah, just but like I didn't go. I went to college because my mother told me I would, and I just always knew I would. Not because she made me, because
Mhm.
it was always instilled in me. But the dream that I wanted, she was like, "No, no, no, that ain't gonna work. Get a good job." get one of them good jobs. And
Mm.
like I went to school for one of those good jobs, and I hated every moment of it, but I did it because my mama
Yeah.
said so. And it
Yeah.
wasn't until I got older that I'm like, yo, I got that degree for you. I hope you enjoyed that degree, lady. That one was for you.
Mhm.
This one was for me, Uncle Sam.
Mhm.
And I remember this one time. I tell this story all the time. Like my mother, I'm so independent, not trying to be my mother, and so I cut my hair. My hair was super long, and I cut it
Mhm.
because somebody convinced me I could look like Halle Berry with this big head and this small haircut. So I got this little short Halle Berry haircut, and you couldn't tell me I wasn't cute. And the first thing people said when they saw me, like, ooh, your mama gonna get you. And I'm like, I'm a grown woman. My mama ain't gonna get me. I'm grown. How she gonna whoop me? I'm my own person. If she don't like it, that's her business. And so my mom came over. I was in Mississippi. My mom came over to the house. She was like, "Oh, Kia, what you do?" I'm like, "Oh no, it looks stupid. No, because that moment of disappointment from my mama just floored me.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, it's cute. I'm like, okay, you like it? Okay, then I like it too. This is so stupid. It's so independent. Her opinion don't count. It counted for that
Right.
minute. I was and she was
Oh my
like,
god.
you such a mess. Bless me, little
Yeah.
stupid heart. Yeah. But moms are important. Like they shape who we are, right? And
They
I
do.
get it
Yeah.
because I went to school in Mississippi because my mother always wanted to go. The big school where she was from was
Mhm.
uh Tugela. No, it's in Tupelo. It's Mississippi Valley State. She wanted to go to
Oh.
Mississippi Valley State. I grew up wanting to go to Mississippi Valley State. I ain't know nothing about Mississippi Valley State. I grew up in the Midwest. I ain't know nothing about Mississippi Valley State. Only time we went to Mississippi was for funerals. So, but my mama want to go to
Oh my
Mississippi Valley State.
god.
I want to go. So we go on a Black college tour, and I went to Mississippi Valley State, and I was like, now mind you, we had just come from Tuskegee to
Mhm.
Mississippi Valley State. I'm like,
I don't know.
maybe this was her dream. Like, I don't know about this one. But I ended up going to Jackson State in Jackson, Mississippi.
Oh.
But I was like, I
Okay.
want to go to school in Mississippi because she always wanted to go to school in Mississippi. I wanted to
Yeah.
do so many things, and even me, I sort of kind of wanted to live out her dream for her. Like she could be able to come
Yeah.
and like do things because she didn't do it for herself. But then, of course, you grow
Yeah.
up, and my mom was super and I was like, you can go back to school, but in her mind, it was like, nah, I'm too old. I'm like, well, she
Mm.
wanted to go to seminary. And I'm like, you could do anything you want to do. But somewhere in her mind, it's like, I'm an
She
old
didn't.
lady. I got a
Yeah.
husband. This is it for me. And I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, you
Mm.
wait. Wait, I'm going to have you on
Yeah.
a plane somewhere. We're going to do something. So, yeah,
Yeah.
moms, moms are
Yeah.
awesome.
It's like my grandmother used to say she was old. My mom said as long as she my mom said she did like my grandmother always say how she's too old for this and too old for that. This is back when my grandmother was like her kids were young. So she's in her 20s
Mhm.
and she's too old. Like my
Right.
grandma's been saying that.
Yeah.
And then all while growing up, I remember my grandma saying, "Oh, I'm too old for this, too old for that." But you know what stood out for me when I started college? I went into the student
Mm.
lounge, and the first thing I saw, and I feel like God set this up. The first thing I saw was two older women. They're older than me. They could have been the age of my mom.
Oh,
Two older black women, and they
that's
don't know
great.
how much they inspired me, seeing that. And I'm like, okay.
Um,
And they were there, and it was their first year in college. They had never been to college before. And I said, I
yeah,
love it.
that was a
I
God
love
setup
it.
because when I was
Yeah.
just like, when I went to film school, I was literally the oldest person in my class by probably like
That's
10 years.
oh
Um,
man, girl, sometimes I'm
luckily
older than
for
the
me,
professor.
like, kids aging really quick. Like, when I turned 30, I'm like, you ain't 30? I'm feeling good about myself. But they would say young stuff, and I'm like, oh, I feel so old. I feel so. What are y'all talking about? I don't know the new slang. I don't know none of this
Yeah.
stuff. They doing now. Everybody's into anime. Well, nobody into anime when I was going to school.
No.
Like, well, we're like that's kid stuff. Like your niece and nephew were into anime because they were young, but like grown people into cartoons, that
Grown
didn't make
people.
any
Yeah.
sense. And then
Yeah.
right, that wasn't a big thing. So now I'm thinking like, oh my goodness, they're a bunch of toddlers and I'm an old granny. But then, the more you get around, I'm like, oh, okay, maybe they're making me young or making me older. I don't know. But the
Well,
thing I do
yeah,
love about generations is like they don't think like they think anything's possible. They can do anything, and they have so many skills, and so like it's really good because they like to share things like because some of our generations they know some information they don't want to share nothing. They want to keep a hold of
yeah,
it because they're gonna be the
yes,
only one that knows. They'll tell you all their business. They'll tell you how to like. They will walk you through because
yeah.
part of when you I don't where you going. I don't know what your curriculum is going to be, but like one of the classes that I had was a motion graphics class, which I fell in love with. Um, but but I could do like motion graphic commercials. There was this kid, he was like 23. He was doing some CG, like he made a
Oh
car,
wow.
made like a road because he was doing a project and there was a car wreck. There was a car chasing a
Mm,
car wreck. So he was like, "Well, I won't be able to get the permits to cut off this road so we can have this drag race. So I'll just create the cars in CG and we'll figure it out." And I'm like, so he was like, Nick, because they used to call me Nick. Nick, look what I did. And he was like, I was like, you did it last night? You did it last night. It took 3 weeks to
wow.
do this little 5 minutes, a whole scene.
Wow.
Okay, how you do that? And oh, blah, blah, blah. He's going 100 miles an hour, and I'm like, I understood was after that.
Yes,
Yeah, I'm too old for this. Y'all brains are too fast. But they grew up on technology, right? They grew up on.
they did.
We grew up on our
Yeah,
phones on the wall, so
yeah,
they're
that's true.
they're. In,
Yeah, that's true. It's a different time.
but I'm excited for you and your film. Learn it because there's so
Thank
many.
you. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited.
You learn all the right film
You
school.
right?
You learn all the old stuff. Right? You learn the basics, and then you learn how to be innovative, right? And so I'm
Right.
excited for you.
I'm excited.
And black and white all together. I like the just the visuals of seeing these different skin tones
Characters.
and these
I
different
love it.
names. Like uh, the you, I can what was that you sent me? I can't remember it.
Forbidden Dakota.
All these native like the audio, so it could say. I'm like, oh no, I wasn't pronouncing it like that, and I don't even know if
Oh,
the thing was pronouncing it right. But I'm like, yo, this is a mouthful of, and it kept on saying it over and over again, and it's just these interesting. Because
yeah.
like it remind me a little bit of like the village, right? Because like
Hmm.
these this whole nation is
It's hidden.
still the way it used to be in modern time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's hidden, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And eyes and her new father and how he
Yes.
just embraced her. It's like this is
Yeah.
your new sister. This is your new brother, and they took on the
I love the
responsibility.
father.
Like, hey, this is my sister. Or you come. I I wanted him to be my grandfather. I'm like, oh,
Right?
I love him. Why did he have
I
to
love him.
so mad at you to kill that man off? I was
Like,
so mad. I
no.
was like, no. I hollered at the screen. I'm like, because he just had this sweetness about him. And I
Yeah.
could just see his little round, wrinkly face. Like
Yes.
you wrote him so
Yes.
well. Then
Oh, thank you.
his sons, her brother and sister, it wasn't that,
Yeah, Tasanka.
American, like she's my sister. It was like,
Yeah.
I'm embracing her as my family because daddy said it's our family. So I'm going to protect her like I would protect all of my sisters. I'm like, I need a brother
Yeah.
like that. Like, can I be on that
Right?
squad? Can I get lost?
Right.
Can they drag me
Where's
into
this cave
the
at?
tribe? Where is this cave? Because I'll be walking around and tripping. Like, could I knock
That's
myself
right.
if I can get drug in? He's like, except for the main character's dad, mom, that's not really
Yeah.
his mom. Ooh, it's like,
Yeah.
why is
Yes.
nobody not stabbing her? I hate her.
Right?
But she was, I mean, like you wrote her so not sinisterly, like she wasn't like the big bad wolf or the wicked witch, but she was just
Yeah.
and she was like had this
Ugh.
self-righteousness, like she deserved to have
Yeah.
this respect.
Yeah.
You are a murderer. You are horrible.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna make sure that nobody marries this guy, knowing how fine he is.
Yeah.
I know all the women were like, he is a good catch. Why is this not
What's
happening? And
wrong?
I'm trying to figure
Yeah. Yeah.
it is you
Yeah.
wrote them
What's wrong?
so well. And, like all these different characters, like it is a very it's a world out other than like the treasury or whatever, is a
Yeah.
multicultural world that I would like to see, right? Like people are just
Yeah.
loving on people um for the simple fact of they love them, right? They're not
Yeah.
seeing color, culture. They're seeing that we have a common background, we have common
Yeah.
morals, and that's what's important, and we can build
That's
off
right.
of that.
Yes.
And so I love these little worlds that you create. You're a good world builder. Well,
Thank you.
your writing class, because you're very not in the box type of person, and you're
No.
it's evident that you write what you know, right? Or
Yeah.
at least
Yeah.
like your background
What I
influences
understand.
what you
Yeah.
write. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. As opposed to somebody writing something, because child, you will get into your writing course and people will start writing some stuff, and they're like, "But you're not even a gangster. Like, why are you writing about gang? Like, do you even know any gang
Yes.
members?" But
Yes.
stuff like that sells, so they want to write that stuff, and it's like, yeah, like this character doesn't even make any sense. You know why does it make any sense? Because you don't even know anybody like this,
Yeah.
right? As
Exactly.
opposed
And
to
that's why I
I
refuse to
know
write it.
the right
Yeah.
girl. I refuse to write it because I do not want to put that narrative. I'm not continuing that
No.
narrative because I don't know those
Yes.
people. I
I
am
don't.
lame. I'm not that kind of black
I didn't
person.
grow
Like I
up.
didn't grow up.
Yeah, I did not grow up around people like that. So then why am I
Yeah.
writing that? That's not how
And
I see our
me,
people.
I don't see that's not how I see our people, but I know that there are
Yeah.
people that have lived that life. But there's so many
Yeah.
people who have not lived that life that are writing as if they did. Like if it's your story, I can't poo-poo on your story because you lived it. But it's like
Yeah.
it's not making any sense. It's not making any sense. Like this one dude, he had me critique his scripts, and he had this guy who had a gun in his hand. The other guy had a knife in his hand. How did you
A
bring?
knife that goes
But
right.
he gets
A
cut
knife
by
that
a
goes right.
knife. I'm like, you brought a gun to a gunfight and you brought a gun to a knife fight and you got cut.
Yeah.
Like this isn't making any natural sense. Why? Because you've
Oh my
never been
goodness.
in the situation. You're throwing it
Yeah.
together and it sounds stupid to me. I don't know how
Yeah.
it sounds good to you in your head, but it's not
It sounds
even
good.
tracking. If I bring a gun to a knife fight, somebody's getting shot.
Yeah. Yeah. Duh.
But like people trying to write outside of their wheelhouse. And I think that there's a market for everything. Like I always
Yes.
tell people,
Yeah.
Sharknado. People, there are a group of people that love that kitschy, corny, campy stuff. People love it.
This
People are
is
like, oh, it's so
true.
stupid. I love it.
You're
There's a
right.
tribe for everybody. If
Yeah.
you're like, what's her name? I can't think of her name right. The girl who wrote Insecure. I know.
Ooh, I can't remember.
Why can we both think of her name?
Ooh, that's kind
The
of
girl who
sad.
wrote Insecure. The audience knows who she is. We're old. We have a brain cramp right now, but it's awkward black girl. So she made a show about awkward black girl. Now Insecure. Go in your wheelhouse, right? Go inside of
Yeah.
your wheelhouse. If awkward and weird, write about awkward and weird stuff. If you
Yeah.
are like whatever it is, write your truth and make it
Right.
entertaining. But if you try
Yeah.
to go outside of something you actually know, it's going to come out disingenuous
It
and
sounds,
really silly.
yes, it does. And
And there are going to
I
be
tried to
people.
write urban fiction. Mm-mm. I said no.
I can't. I don't.
I scrapped it.
I did a pretty good job at one, but I was like, if I'm gonna write it, I'm gonna write it my way, right? So it was a dope
Right.
dealer, but I'm like, okay, he's not selling weed. He's gonna be a chemistry major. He's gonna make it in a
Mm-hmm.
lab. He's
Mm-hmm.
not gonna have rims on his car. He's gonna drive a Honda Accord.
Yeah.
He's gonna like He's gonna blend in. He's not gonna have gold
Mhm.
teeth. He's on campus with these rich kids, so he's gonna be like
Mhm.
he's gonna be the guy that they want to invite
Preppy.
to their party. Seem like they're down, right? He's preppy.
Mhm.
He's cute. He drives a really cute car. He doesn't have a lot of
I can see
dark tint
that.
on it.
Mhm.
He's a good guy, but he's being smart about it, right?
Yeah.
But his brother was the opposite. So I like if I was gonna write it, this is how I would write it: to have some little humor
Mhm.
in it, to have some little sophistication in it, but still sprinkle in those other people. Because
Right.
I know the guy that's been to school and dabbling in that kind of stuff and using
Yeah.
science because that's what drugs
'Cause
are, a science, right? So he's
yes, the
using his
science,
intellect to
yes.
do wrong stuff. I'd write that person before I write somebody who just shot 50 people. I don't know that dude. I don't even want to be around that dude.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't even know how
No. I
that
don't yeah,
dude thinks.
I don't know nothing about
I
him.
don't know how
Yeah.
he thinks. I get
Yeah.
too deep. I don't want to think like that guy. I don't want to get so good at thinking like a crazy
Yeah.
person. I, I'm just scared myself. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I
and there are
said
going to
that.
be people that they're going to tell you as a writer, oh, that's not going to sell because indigenous people don't do this or black people don't do this or blah blah blah. Like, the black people that in your circle don't do this, but black people actually do this, and I'm writing about
Yeah.
it and I'm having some fun with it, bringing a new perspective
Mhm.
because the African diaspora is huge. It's not just
It's
you
huge.
know either Fresh Prince of Bel Air, Carlton, or Boys in the
Thug
Hood.
life.
There's a lot of middle
You're
ground,
right. You're
and
right.
nobody ever gets to see the middle ground.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's true. I
So I'm
had somebody complain about one of the name of Dakota's dad. They complained that his name was Dan, and they felt like he should have had a more native name. And
I
I was like, yeah, I
I
get what you're
love
saying, but
I love the fact that
I
his
think
name was Dan because there was such a hodgepodge. Because you were saying your friend's name was Amanda. That's not very native sounding. I don't know if
yeah,
she had a
yeah,
native name.
right.
There's a lot of people like I know a dude that I thought he was white, but he's actually native. I was like, he looked like
Mm-hmm,
a tan Christopher Reeves. He was a handsome
mm-hmm,
dude, and he went off
mm-hmm,
on me. He was like, Superman. I'm from the blah 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 nation. He was just went off on me, and I was like, okay, well, put me in my place. Tell me more, because he was like, he was one of those dudes was like, I could pass, but I'm representing who I am. This is who I am. I'm like, set me straight, set us all straight. Don't make us think that you're
mm-hmm,
something that you're not. But his name was like
mm-hmm.
Charles or something like American. Like
Yeah,
that was his
yeah,
given name. It was Charles something something. He had a native last name, but like that's what
yeah,
happens sometimes. So I
yeah,
kind of like that it was Dan because it was like it shows the and then his wife had like a normal name too. I can't remember her name.
yeah.
Like what was her name? What was his name? Come on, you know her name. You wrote it.
Oh, oh,
Dan's wife.
oh, you talking? Was it Marla? Girl, it's my own
Yeah,
characters. It's my own characters. Was it Marla?
right. He had a normal
What the
name,
hell's
and
his
then you
name?
had
She
all of
pissed
these.
me off. What's the hell's name? Yeah, she had a normal
I love
name.
it when I hate a character that I write because I'm like, if I hate it, other people are gonna write it. And you're like, like I had a friend that was mad at a character. I'm like, why are you mad at yourself? You wrote this dude. Why are you
You know,
mad?
you
He was like,
know,
I can't stand him.
you know who
I can't stand
really pissed me off?
him.
Who surprised me was Amali's mother. Amali's mother surprised me. Her daughter goes missing. They find her. She gets to see her
That
daughter
part.
again after she thought her daughter had died, right? And this heifer gonna sit up there and say because her daughter is happy where she is, happy where she is, happy who she's with. I mean, you saw this man just love on your daughter, just love on your daughter.
Right.
She got like three, four fathers up in there. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody, she got a
Right.
whole tribe now, right? You see how well loved your daughter is, and you're gonna say, I wish she had died instead, just because she's
Yeah.
not where you want her to be.
So why did you
And then
decide to
like
write that?
this is the funny thing. So with my characters, I actually I let the book write itself. So for me, it really does feel like a character coming to me, and they're saying their
Mm-hmm.
piece. And the reason how I've really understood this is because I've tried to change the narrative. I've tried to change what I was picking up off of this character and try to write what I think would
Mm-hmm.
sound better. Oh, honey, it didn't work. It didn't work. It didn't work.
Look at you.
Had to delete and had to rewrite. But her mother, like what I've learned is that they represent certain lessons. That's what the reader needs to pay attention to. So her mother
Mhm.
represents self-hate. She represents self-hatred.
Mm.
She's this
Yeah.
beautiful black
Yeah.
woman and she hates herself. You know,
Mhm.
part of the reason why she hates herself is because of what happened to Amali's father. You know, he's this man, he came from a
Mm.
native tribe and he was killed by police in front of her. So she's
Mm.
just like, I'm gonna go with the more dominant side. I'm gonna go with the with her eyes, the stronger side. I'm gonna go with the white people. I'm gonna support them. I'm
Love
gonna try to do everything I can to align myself with them. So she was all into the bleaching cream, permanent hair, all that because it was a self-hate. And she pushed that onto her daughter. You remember, if you remember when her daughter came back out, she was trying to push the bleaching cream on her. Oh, you need to
yeah.
take care of this hair. You need to bleach your skin, um, because she had gotten darker,
Mhm.
living in the tribe.
Right.
Yeah, she had gotten
And
darker.
I like the idea that like they have been so secluded, like they didn't know what black was,
Yeah,
right?
they never heard of that
The
term. Yeah,
tribe, he was like you're black like
yeah.
me to that effect. And they were like, what do you mean black?
What
Like
was that?
it never
Yeah,
version it because race is a social construct, and in their
yeah,
society, they hadn't been tainted
yeah.
by outside society. Is like, what are you
Nope.
talking about? Like I don't dislike this person because they're lighter or darker. It's
Yeah,
whatever the social or are,
don't make
if they
sense.
comply with the social norm is what
Hmm.
matters. So I love that part. I'm like, I told you,
Yeah.
I'm like, listen, where is this woods at? Where can we
I
find
know.
it? Because somebody you can put throw me in a hole, throw some leaves over it, night watch.
Wait for
Like
Dakota to come
where
find me.
uh, Dakota, that
Dakota,
man
yep.
is
Hmm.
two scoops of delicious. He's pretty. He is everything a dark native man should be. All that
Right.
hair, but he's just like then he's kind of dark and broody a little bit,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
um,
He's kind of
but
bitter. He's bitter. Yeah. He's
yeah,
a little bitter.
he's bitter because like your girl is making his life horrible. His
Yeah.
mom, really his mom,
Hmm.
is making his life
Hmm.
horrible. And his father, which I was mad at Dan, like you a little bit too past it. Like you need to
Yes.
crack.
You need to
She was
step
getting
it
on my
up.
nerves.
Yeah.
He was just so passive, and he's like, but when the wedding, he
Oh
tricked her.
gosh.
I'm like, okay. I love the sneak attack with the wedding. That was so cool.
Yes.
I'm like, okay,
Yes.
okay. You could have just
Yes.
like he's get married and you're not invited, but that's not in his character. That's not in his horns.
No.
He's too much for
No.
that. But I like the sneak attack for the wedding. It was just like there's just so many parts
They.
of like they didn't like he doesn't want to like her, but he does. And
Yeah.
she likes him, but she's like kind of timid, and so she's been in a
Yeah.
bad relationship. But he's so
Yeah.
handsome and he's so kind. He saved her, and then he's slowly starting to like her. But she's like, now she's kind of like, I need to be more native. I need to learn as much as I can because I would need to fit in. Because
Yeah.
she just longs to have a family of
Yeah.
her own that care about her. And then she gets that daddy that she loves, and it dies on her. Oh, so
Oh my
tragic.
gosh.
And then like all of these things are happening, and they're starting to fall in love with each other, right? And
Yeah.
and this is totally new for both of them because she's been in
Hmm.
crazy relationships, so she doesn't know what it's like for a guy to pursue her, a guy to protect her. She doesn't know that. She
Yeah.
doesn't know how to, and he doesn't know like
Yeah.
all of his previous women that he wanted to court.
Yeah.
They just
Yeah.
fell off, and so he's like, okay, is she gonna run away from me? Like, is she gonna
Yeah.
leave me? I
Like
gotta
all
be
the other ones.
perfect, but it was so awkward. And like that first awkwardness of love, like it's so new and it's
Yeah.
scary and it's so sweet. I like it.
Oh, you made me want
Love,
to
love,
read
love.
it. And I wrote
Oh,
it down.
really?
I know.
It's
I want to
really,
turn it into a
it's really
movie. I do want
like
to
it
turn it
would
into a
be.
movie or a series
It's giving me like it gives me definitely. I would see it as a TV series because I want to watch it
TV
every
series
week. I don't want to watch it one day,
because you want
like
to.
one
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to see the progression of the story. I want to see them
Yeah.
fall in love. Like I can't have 2 hours. I need like a
Yes.
couple of
That's
months
an interesting
to
movie.
see them fall
Yeah.
in love, see all the dastardly things that happen. It's just each
Yeah.
character like progress, and the ones that we
Develop. Yeah.
hate them more. And then, what's her name? Was her name Keisha? her friend.
Oh, yeah, Keisha.
Yeah,
Yes.
Keisha. She was yeah, she was ride or die. I liked her, and I like the fact because I have one of my close friends. Her name is Keisha, so I'm like, there's a Keisha
Okay.
everywhere. I know she black, and so it was just like this weird, this like, and I say weird not because it's like silly, but it's like this hodgepodge of experiences all kind of wrapped in this one little crazy ball. You're taking us
Yeah.
in the future and in the past all at the same time. And so, because
Yeah.
I'm a proponent of a simple life. And so
Mhm.
when you have these people like uh communicating and working together in this most simplest ways, they're not
Mhm.
inundated by the stresses of having to pay
The
mortgage
going
and
nine
all
to
these
five.
silly things,
Yeah.
all these things like they're family oriented, like they live off the
Mhm.
land. We don't need it. We're not going to kill it. Like, let's not
Yeah.
kill a buffalo. No,
Yeah.
let's kill one chicken because that's going to feed our family for the day. We're not going to kill 100
Yeah.
because for what?
Yeah.
It's just
For
very
what?
simple, natural life. Like, not because
Mhm.
people are the cancers of earth, right? We take more than we need and we destroy a lot
Me.
of things, right? And when I
That's
study
true.
cultures like African cultures, is like, no, we're going to kill for what's going to feed our family. We're not going to kill this animal just for its horns.
Just for,
We're going to
yeah.
kill it, and everything. The teeth is going to become necklaces.
Everything is. Yeah.
The everything gets used. We're going to eat what we can, and
Mhm.
whatever we can't eat is going to serve a purpose because this animal did not die in vain. So I
Yeah.
love the idea of that, and to see that in the juxtaposition of a modern setting, and it's like, ugh,
Yeah.
we suck. I want to live with
I
them.
did.
Like
Right.
the winters, the winters are going to be hard because they don't have central
Yeah.
heat and air. I can deal
No.
with it
No.
because
Yeah.
it's fine.
Well, I brought. I mean, like I brought. I brought the that tribe is also in Toxic.
Oh, I haven't
So
seen.
Dakota does a cameo. Yeah, Dakota
Oh
does do a
yeah.
cameo on Toxic, and it's funny. It's funny. He does something that I was. It was funny to me because. But yeah, so he does a cameo in Toxic, and his cameo leads up to the second book I'm working on for Forbidden, which is Rosewood. So I'm
Okay.
trying to create a web, like where the characters are
Good.
coming in and out of different books, stuff like that.
That's that's like
Yeah.
I have there's a writer I know. Her name is Maria V. Schneider, and she has like these different series. There's a glass. She calls them studies. There's a fire study. There's a
Mhm.
poison study. There's a glass study, and so you'll have book. The first book I got was like glass study, and I'm reading. I'm like,
Mhm.
because I was tired of romance. I want to do something fantasy, and so I get this book, and it's
Mhm.
like the third book. So now I got to read the other two books and find out it's like one of. So now I get hooked into this
Yeah.
world that she built.
This world.
Every so often, one character from like in book 5, somebody from book 1 will pop up. Like, oh, where has he been? I haven't seen him in a while, right? And so I love
Yep.
that
Yep.
because you're creating a world,
Yeah.
right? You're creating a world, and so
Yes.
nobody is ever, even though we haven't seen them in a while.
No.
Let's
Yeah.
remember this one. Oh, yeah, I love that character, blah blah.
Yes.
So you're smart.
Yeah. I love
I
it. I'm
like
having
it.
so much fun with it. Yeah. Well, tell everybody where they
Yeah,
can
I love.
find you.
Well,
Where
I
can they
have
find?
2 podcasts. One is
Mhm.
Single Wife, My Blessed Life. You can go on YouTube. You can go on Spotify. You can go on Buzzsprout and find that. And it is uh, I'm single and I'm a Christian, and I did dating wrong. I did it my way, not God's way, and so very wrong. So,
Most
Jesus,
of us
let
are
me do
doing
it
it
your
that
way. Yeah,
way.
let me do it your way. I was like, I can't be the only woman that wants to do it your way at a woman of a
Mhm.
certain age. So how do we do this? How do we prepare to be those Proverbs 31 woman? Like, you don't become
Yeah.
Proverbs 31 woman at I do. You don't become patient at I
No.
do. You need to practice.
No.
And even after I do, you still got to practice some more. But at least you have a point of
Yeah.
reference, right? At least you've been
Mhm.
practicing patience. And you've been practicing being supportive, and you've been practicing being all those things that the Bible says that you should be. And
Yeah.
what love is, like, love is patient and kind and long suffering. Like,
Mhm.
we don't we we don't live that. We like lust
Yeah.
and like, but love, what love really is, that sacrificial thing of love. I was like, and I was when I went over that scripture, because I read the scripture 100 times, and when I read over the
Mhm.
scripture, I was like, I ain't never loved nobody. Like I have been lying. I done
Yeah.
told so many people I
And
love them.
lied to
I done
myself.
lied to myself because I was impatient or kind. I didn't put up with too much stuff. I was behind at times. I wasn't good at goodness. I had none of that. And so like getting myself right, because I believe like, we say we want this kind of man, but would that kind of man want you how you are right now? No, he don't
Yeah.
want my foolishness. The Lord loves him too, and he doesn't want him to have my foolishness. So Lord, work on me and
Mhm.
make me. I know that you have a man purpose for me,
Mhm.
creating me the life that he deserves. Right. And
Yes.
so
Yes.
how do we do that? And so that's what single wife living my blessed life is, because the Bible says, when a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing and obtains favor with the Lord. Well, she's a wife when he finds her. She has all those wifely qualities when he
That's
finds her.
true.
She's just not his wife yet, right? But she is
Mhm.
a wife.
Mhm.
And so, and then I have another podcast called 15 on the Line, and it um goes into prison reform. And so my
Mhm.
co-host is actually in a state prison, and so I
Mhm.
do a lot of interviews with him and other inmates via telephone, and get their
Mhm.
feedback on like, what is it like being a father in prison, a father that's actively trying to father his children from prison. What's that like? What
Wow.
is it for a guest
Jeez.
who has been married for her son was 4 months old when her husband went to jail. Her son is 7, but they
Oh
didn't
my.
get married until they've only been married for 4 years. So
Oh,
you decided 3 years after this man was incarcerated, yep, he's the one for me. Let's make it legal.
let's make this
But
happen.
what does that
Yeah.
look like? Single
Yeah.
parents married, right?
Yeah.
And what and so not trying to have sympathy for inmates, but ha- bringing the humanity in inmates. Like
Mhm.
they made choices. Sorry, they made choices. I
Mm.
think it's supposed to be. They made choices
Mhm.
that we didn't, or and sometimes they made choices that we did that we just didn't get caught, right? And
Yeah.
so knowing humans that made mistake, and the God is everywhere, and a lot of them have gotten saved and have changed their life, and they're just waiting to live their new life in Christ on the outside. But in the meantime, in between
Right.
time, this is what we're doing. And so I've been having fun with that. And that is also on that's 15 on the Line, and that is YouTube,
15 on the
Spotify, and
line.
Buzzsprout.
Okay.
15 on the Line. And so I'm just about to end 15 on the Line
Mm.
season. Um, and probably somewhere in November, I'll start up my second season of Single Wife. So it's
Nice.
gonna be fun.
Yes. That's I
And
love that. Mhm.
on a audio drama, and it's inside of a
Oh, okay.
prison. It's kind of like slightly futuristic. It's set like 100 years from now, in a
Mhm.
prison, and shenanigans they get into, and there's a love story. There's a bunch of lies, and there's some salvation. There's a little bit of everything in it, so I'm
Oh,
excited about
wow,
that.
an audio drama? That's
Audio
cool.
drama, so yeah, because I've been doing podcasts. So I'm like, and when you're a new filmmaker, finding stories is easy. Finding money to produce them, that's a little
Yeah,
bit difficult, right? So I'm
different
like, I've
challenge,
already done
yeah.
podcasts. Why don't I do audio drama? Since I'm
Mhm.
still in the podcast vein, and let's do some narratives, because
Yeah.
I love to write. And I was like, oh, let's come up with some kind of narrative. And me and my co-host from 15 on the Line, we start brainstorming, and it evolved. And so I've started outlining it, and then I have a couple of friends, because never as a writer we like to write in a bubble. Can't write in
Yeah.
a bubble. You got to like tell some people stuff, especially like a circle of people that are not going to be like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. No, you need those people like, oh, that doesn't make any sense, and kind of argue it out with them, and it gives you new ideas. And so there's some
Mhm.
slightly ratchet things that are happening in Beyond the Wall, and but I'm not super duper ratchet, but I'm ratchet adjacent,
Yeah.
and I have ratchet friends. So I mean, I'm like, ooh, that's interesting. I would have never thought about that, or I would have never. People actually do that. Like, girl, my cousin Keisha does that. So, like, okay, let's write that down. So, it's been collaborative effort to get this story together, and it's been evolving, and I'm loving it. It's gonna be good.
That's
It's gonna be good.
good. I'm happy for you. I can't wait to see you be you be producing one of my movies.
Girl, let's
We'll
do
be
it.
out there.
Let's do it.
And I'll load the lingo, so I'll
Uh,
probably be annoying you. I'm gonna know some stuff now.
oh yeah, listen, bring it. I think that every filmmaker, like if you're a storyteller and you want to
Mhm.
go into films, because I grew up on TV and films, um,
Mhm.
it's a very intricate art to tell a story and tell
Mhm.
it well,
Yeah.
right? And I
Yeah.
think that what we do is we let people hinder us. It's like, oh, that won't
They
mesh.
tell
That
us it's
won't
not
mesh.
gonna work. Yeah.
It's not gonna work. Like I have a friend, he had this idea called for a film about this Indian guy and a black girl, and everybody was
Mhm.
telling him Indians hate black people, blah blah, all these things. And so I was like,
Mhm.
I think it's really interesting. So I kept on telling him like, go for it, go for it, go for it. And he was like, oh, I don't know. And then that movie, it was with Issa Rae. That's her name for Insecure. Issa
Mm.
Rae and this other guy. They were in a movie and it was a black girl and an Indian guy. And he was like, every time I see it, I get mad. I was like, well, you got to get mad. Don't let people
You get mad
tell
at
you
yourself. Yeah.
that the idea will work because Hollywood has this cookie cutter
I tell you.
formula for a good film.
Mhm.
But we are
Yeah.
in America is in indie film mode now. We like lots
Mhm.
of things. Because so much content now. Hollywood is scared
Mhm.
because we like this thing because that's all you fed us. And now we have all these innovative filmmakers.
You got
We
options
find out
now.
that we do a lot of things. And when you tell any
Mhm.
story well, if you're a good storyteller and you grab us and pull us into your world, I believe everything. I believe that this
Mhm.
hippopotamus and this giant are best friends. I'm gonna believe it because you're
Yeah.
telling me
Yeah.
this story well. And now I'm trapped.
Yes.
I'm in. I'm all
I
in.
gotta know.
How does this work?
Yeah.
But if you can't
Yeah.
grab somebody, it doesn't matter if it's this beautiful guy and this gorgeous woman. I ain't buying it.
Mm-mm.
You ain't telling the story
Mm-mm.
well, right? And so you,
Yeah.
luckily for you, you have not lost your sense of wonder. You have this childlike imagination. You're a great storyteller, and I'm excited to get not just people in your mind, real people like actors. Like,
Yeah.
what can you do if you
Yes.
can create stories in your mind? It's so much more exciting when you have actual people to work with and direct them and see
Yes.
these characters come off the page.
Yes. I'm hoping I could find me a good Dakota. I'm probably gonna be. I'm going to have to
Yeah,
be like really hunting hard for some good actors. But see, what
yeah. Are
I
there?
am open to, I'm looking for. I'm not looking for mainstream actors. I'm looking for like Dakota. I would love to find a Dakota from somebody. Maybe he's Cherokee. He could be Seminole. He could be from any other tribe. It doesn't matter to me as long as he fits that character. So, and he doesn't. He
Yeah.
don't even have to be a professional actor. He can learn. It
Only thing
depends. I
with
know some
people
people can't.
that aren't professional actors. Some people, there's a lot of diamond in the rough that people just have that natural talent.
Hmm.
And then there's some people that are rough in the rough, but a good director can pull anything out of it. Because I've when you're a new filmmaker, you're using your cousins, you're using anybody that will show up, right? And then after a
Yeah.
while, you just get more concerned and be like, nah, I'm leveling up. I need to get some better actors. Um,
Yeah.
but your challenge is going to be like finding people that physically fit your characters because they're very specific. Um,
Yeah.
and he's out there. It might change
Yeah.
a little bit, but he's out there directing them because I don't know how many natives are avidly uh, pursuing acting, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so that's going to be a challenge,
There's
but it doesn't mean
yeah.
that it's
There's a
not.
lot,
It doesn't.
but yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't mean they don't
It's
exist. They just haven't been found yet, and so maybe they
yeah.
need. You were born in such a time as this, right? For such a time as
Yeah.
this, right? You were the person that was are supposed to make them seen, right? Because
Yeah.
everybody's out there. Um,
Yeah.
I
That's true.
remember. Have you ever seen the movie Australia?
No, I haven't seen that one. The
It
Australia.
has
No.
Nicole Kidman in it. Yeah, it has
Mm.
Nicole Kidman in it and
Oh,
Hugh Jackman.
yes. I heard of
I
that. I
am
didn't see
not
it.
Nicole Kidman. Yeah, well, there's this little boy. He is a
Mhm.
Aboriginal boy, And she like they're looking for the perfect kid, and he has to be. They call him creamies, which is their version of saying he's mixed, right? And so they were looking
Right.
for the perfect mixed Aboriginal boy for this, and they happened to find him like I forgot some random place. It wasn't he didn't even audition, but as soon as they saw him, they were like,
That's
"That's the
him.
kid. Like that's the kid I had in my head." And that little boy, he's probably like
Mm.
in his 20s now, but that little boy stole every scene that he was in. And he, whether he had two lines
Wow.
or a whole monologue, that kid stole. Hugh Jackman. I love me some Hugh Jackman. Forget about Hugh Jackman. When that little boy shows up in the scene, he's just so cute, and everything that comes out of his mouth seems like he's been acting for his whole life. So they're out
Wow.
there. They're not in, like, and
Yeah.
you are the person that are going to find them and make everybody know that these people exist. And I'm excited.
I love that. I
Yeah,
love
I'm excited.
that. Well, thank you for being on my show, Bookish Bites. So,
Anytime.
yeah, stay in the studio. We're going to have our little talk. And we
Okay.
thank everybody for tuning in. We thank you for watching the show to the end. And we hope that you enjoyed. If you had any questions, anything you want to ask Nakia, you can put in the comments. I'll make sure it gets to her. Or you can actually make sure you check out her shows. So she has a
Being
lot
on the
going on.
line, being single wife, living my blessed life. YouTube, Spotify, and Buzzsprout.
Sounds good. Okay. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Bye.
Bye.